Welcome class to biochemical methods. I will call it biochemistry lab or biochem lab. That's not what's on the books, but that's just how I'm probably going to refer to it. I'm Dr. Lawrence, and I'm happy to be here with you and to introduce the course. So this video, I'm going to go through the syllabus and some key points of information that you need to know, so you know my expectations, and we can get through this course and have fun while doing it. And so I'm going to start sharing my screen now to go through a PowerPoint slide with you. Okay, so here's our intro slide right here. Okay, so for the biochem lab here, this is our schedule here. You can see weeks 1 through 15. And let's see if we get a pointer here. So what we have is we only have 1 week out of the semester for a makeup lab. And these makeup labs are for excused absences only. You can read more about what that entails in the syllabus, but only excused labs. And even if you have an excused lab, there still is the possibility that you will not be able to make it up due to scheduling conflicts, and running labs is rather difficult to coordinate. And so if that's the case, to alleviate stress about that, I'm going to allow a drop for every lab, or sorry, 1 drop for the semester. So if you miss 1 lab due to an excused absence, you most likely will be able to make it up, but there's a chance that you can't, that you won't be able to. And so that will just be dropped. Okay? If you've completed all the labs and you didn't miss any, we will still drop one of your lowest scores or lowest labs. So you see here we have experiments 2 through 9, or 2 through 10, and then we skip 11 and go to 12. That's just because we have lots of experiments and we've dropped some, and we're just going to keep the numbering system that's associated with those experiments. So we have 11 total experiments for the semester, numbered as shown here. Now, ideally, the way that I would love it to work is that everyone in the lab on January 14th is going to do experiment 2. But we have some limitations, and mostly that it has to do with the equipment. We don't have enough equipment for everyone to do the same lab on the same day. So what I have here is, it's probably hard for you to see, up top here is the schedule for 3 groups of people. You see students 1 through 2, 3 through 4, and 5 through 6. They're all in a different color scheme. That's because those are students, and we have 3 groups shown here with 2 students per group. So one thing that you're going to do today in this orientation lab is find your lab partners, so we can put your names in these student categories right here, because for experiment 2, this group is going to do the experiment on the 14th, whereas groups 3 and 4 is going to do experiment 2 on April 8th. So this group right here, 3 and 4, they need to look down this column here to find which lab that they're going to do on January 14th. And you can see that this lab here, for this partnership, 3 and 4, is going to do experiment 3 on January 14th. And then groups 5 and 6, what are they going to do on January 14th? You can see the date there saying that they are going to do experiment 4. So students, you have to pay very, very close attention to the schedule. And you can just see here, this is just a zoomed in version of what I just explained up here, in case you can't see that. So on January 14th, our first lab, this group right here is going to do experiment 2. Students 3 and 4 will do experiment 3 because that's January 14th. And then groups 5 and 6 will do experiment 4 on January 14th. And when you look through the whole schedule, everyone's going to do every experiment just on different days. So that is very, very critical that everyone pays attention to what lab that they're going to do on certain days. We will also see in the schedule that we do have a final exam. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as we progress through this presentation. So this is the overall grading procedure. You can see my grading scale here to the right. I don't do the minus system, but I do the plus system. You see that there. You know, your grade is going to be determined by 5 categories. So we have pre-lab quizzes or pre-lab assignments. I should probably scratch that out right there and say assignments. Post-lab assignments, you will have a final, and 10% notebook checks and 10% safety in lab citizenship. So I'm going to go through each one of these categories in a little bit more depth per slide, so you can understand what I mean by that. So for lab safety and citizenship. So lab safety talks about, are you being smart with the equipment? Are you being safe with the equipment? Do you have all the safety protection, the PPIs? Okay. Yeah, you need a lab coat. You need your goggles. Not PPIs, PPEs. There you go. Okay. And you guys have been in enough labs to know what is proper lab attire. If you want to know what I expect of proper lab attire, you will see a lot of pictures in the syllabus. No open shoes, no sandals, no shorts. You know the routine. And if you come unprepared, not properly dressed, you're not going to be in the lab. You're just kicked out. And you will lose points for the lab citizenship. Another aspect to the lab citizenship is, are you cleaning up after yourself? Are you putting away reagents where they belong? Not just away, but where they belong. Because it's super important, because everyone in the lab needs to be able to find what they're looking for. And if sodium chloride is supposed to be on shelf 2, I expect sodium chloride to be on shelf 2 at all times. So if you take it off of shelf 2 to use it, you need to return it. So the GTAs are going to pay attention to this. If you're not cleaning up after yourselves, being courteous to others, just overall just good lab etiquette, then we're going to take points away. Okay. The next thing is your lab notebook. The purpose of your lab notebook is for you to have a procedure written in it, so you know what to do in the lab. I do not want you guys printing off the lab procedure and taping it into your lab notebook. Everything needs to be written. It needs to be written in your lab notebook. And in the Canvas page, maybe I can just show it to you here. Okay, right here. When you come to your modules in your Canvas page, you're going to find a lab notebook example. Follow that example. I've also discussed in the syllabus what we need to have in that lab notebook. Okay, so you can look there at that example and in the syllabus. It shows you what I'm expecting. But key features, you're going to need a table of contents. And then when you come to lab, you have to have in your lab notebook the name of the experiment at the top of the page, the date, and you follow the example that you can see, but I'm stressing that you need your procedure written down. And the reason why you need that lab procedure is because I'm not going to allow you to use the printouts to bring to lab. If you don't have the information in your lab notebook, then you won't know what to do. And another reason why I'm having you do this is because I need you guys to know what you're doing before you come to lab. I need you to have an idea in your mind, oh, I need to do X, Y, and Z before you come. This way, if you do this, then the lab will run more smoothly, and you'll most likely get out earlier. It eliminates the chance of mistakes, and it's just overall more safe if you know what you're doing. So having you write down the procedure in your lab notebook helps with that goal. Okay. If you do not have your lab notebooks ready before lab, then the TA has every right to kick you out of the lab and give you a 0. Okay, so please do not risk that. You need to have your lab notebooks completely filled in before you come into lab. And so the TAs are going to look at your notebooks during the lab to give points. And if you have the majority of the information in there, you'll get the majority of the points. But if you don't, then you're going to lose points, and they're going to keep track of that. Okay? And each TA is going to have their own protocol on how they're going to do the lab notebook checks. So you will talk with them, and they will explain how they want to have that done. So this image right here is to instill in your minds that you do have a final exam. And the final exam will not be through Canvas or online. It is going to be in person. When will that final exam be? You see that right there in the schedule. It's going to be the week 15 of the semester. And this will be, the exam will be given during the normal lab time. So on week 15, if you're in the Tuesday section, you come to lab at 1:30. If you're on the Thursday section, you come at 1:30 in the lab, and we will take the final there. You will need a calculator, and we'll talk more about it as the final gets closer on exactly what you need. And there's a good chance that we will be taking the final in a different room, so you have a desk to sit at, but that hasn't been scheduled or figured out yet because the university won't allow me to do that until like 2 weeks after the semester has begun. So how do you prepare for this final? Well, looking at your experiments that you're going to do. In particular, you are focusing on the principles behind the experiments. So for example, a TA could walk past you as you're doing an experiment and see you adding a solution to another beaker. And the TA could say, why did you add that? And if your answer is because the procedure says to do it, that's a good sign that you're not preparing well for the final. You need to understand the reason why you're adding X to Y or that solution into the beaker. You need to understand the chemistry and the biochemistry behind what you are doing. So principles. Another big principle that you will see in the module is calculation of buffers. So if you come here, show you this here, give you back the module here. You will also see buffer calculations. That is a thing to help you remember how to do the calculations to make a buffer. That will be on the final. And then you will have this study guide right here. That kind of just outlines what you need to understand. generally speaking, you need to know the why you're doing what you're doing and understanding the underlying principles behind that. And if you do that, then you will be well prepared for the final exam. Now, the format of the final exam will most likely be all multiple choice, but there's a small possibility that there will be some small or free response questions. I haven't fully decided yet, and I haven't written the final yet. So just be aware that if you understand the content, then it doesn't matter if it's multiple choice or free response. Okay? But that is a possibility. Now this picture right here, what I'm trying to instill upon you is this is a lone wolf. So when you go to do the lab experiment, you are going to be in a group and you work together to gather the data. But for pre-lab assignments and post-lab assignments, I expect you to do them individually. So when you do a post-lab report, the data is going to be the same amongst the people in your group, but the way that you analyze or answer questions about that data should be slightly different. And so if pre-labs or post-labs look identical, then both people are going to get a 0. And that's what this slide right here is instilling too. The only way, not the only way, but the most likely way that a lab partner can copy and paste an assignment exactly the same is if their lab partner gave them their pre-lab assignment or their post-lab assignment. Do not give pre-lab or post-lab assignments to your lab partners. You can give the raw data. Yeah, that you should, and you need to. That's required. If you gather data, you share it with one another. But answering the questions and processing the data is done individually. So there's no wiggle room here. If there's 2 lab reports that look the same, both people are getting 0s. Okay? So please don't do that. I expect you to do it by yourself. Now, as you're answering these questions, if you need help, you need to ask questions, yes, you can ask questions to your GTA. Okay? And possibly your lab partner, if they're willing to help you learn and answer the questions. But a carbon copy or copy and paste, no go. Okay? Not going to be tolerated. So here are some dates. When are the due dates for these assignments? So for the pre-lab assignment, it is due the Sunday before the lab. So Sunday at 11:59 p.m. If you don't submit it on time, then there's going to be a 25% late penalty per day. So you need to get that pre-lab turned in on time, which is Sunday at 11:59 p.m. of the week of the exam. Sorry, of the week of the lab. Now, where are these pre-lab assignments? So if you go to your module, let's see here, this guy right here. And if we look at experiment 2, you will see 3 bits of information here. Right here is the procedure or the manual. So that's what you're going to click on to fill in your notebook. And then your pre-lab assignment, if we click that, you will find there's the handout right there. Okay, so download that, fill it out. You can fill it out by pen, you can fill it out by the computer, And then you're going to upload it, okay? And you need to upload a PDF file, okay? If it's not PDF, we're not accepting it. Has to be PDF, and that's due to things getting scrambled and moved around when the GTAs goes to grade it on Canvas. So it has to be PDF. And if it's not PDF, then you didn't turn it in, and you're not getting any points. Now, another really important aspect of the pre-lab is that if you do not score 70% or greater on your pre-lab, the TA has every right to not allow you to participate in the lab because you are not prepared. And unprepared students waste the time of the GTAs and their fellow students, fellow classmates. So we don't want that. Okay? So your lab notebooks need to be completely filled out, and your pre-lab assignment needs to be done by Sunday at 11:59, the Sunday before your lab, and you need to score 70% or better, or you run the risk of not being allowed in the lab. Okay. Now your post-lab assignments. Your post-lab assignments are going to be due 1 week after the lab that you did that experiment. So for example, if you do experiment 2 on January 14th, then your post-lab assignment will be due January 21st at 11:59 p.m. And if you turn those in late, then there's a 25% deduction per day. Another important thing, it is your responsibility as the student to make sure you upload the correct assignment. If you upload the incorrect assignment and find out a few days later that it's wrong, the wrong assignment, then that's still late, and there's going to be a late penalty associated with that. So please make sure and double check that you've uploaded the correct assignments by the due date. All right. Now it's very, very important that, or the reason why we have the pre-labs due at Sunday, the Sunday before the lab experiment, is because the TAs need some time to grade it. Because if you don't get 70% or better, then you can't be allowed in the lab. And so they need to do that work. So that's why it's due on Sunday. And so for the students who are in my Thursday section, you have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You have 3 days to do your pre-lab assignment. So make sure you're aware of that. Make sure you know which experiment you're going to do. And at this moment in time, you don't know which experiment you're going to do because you haven't figured out your lab partners yet. But after this lab, the GTAs are going to send me the names of the groups, and then I will get that out to everyone as soon as possible so you know which lab experiments to start prepping for. Okay, another very important thing that you need to do as soon as you can is to get online and take the, what am I going to call it here? Let's find it. You know how for every class you have to take like a financial aid assignment? Well, I'm going to have you guys do that one online. Okay. And so that financial aid assignment is going to be a syllabus quiz and making sure you paid attention to this video. So this quiz has 15 to 20 questions. And so if you haven't read the syllabus, then you're not going to pass that assignment. So you need to make sure that you read the assignment or the syllabus and take that, okay? And that will be part of your grade to give you guys incentive to read it well, okay? Okay, so this right here, do you have any questions? And if you have any questions, obviously I can't answer it because I'm not physically here. We're just listening to a video. But if you have a question about this course, I want you to first read through the syllabus and see if your questions can be answered there. If they can't be answered there for some odd reason, go to your GTA. If your GTA can't answer the question, then let's chat. But please do that, okay? So if you ask me a question that has already been answered in the syllabus via email, I'm not going to answer it because I've already given you the answer. It's in black and white, okay? Let's see here. What else? Another thing that's come to my mind and attention is this right here. Okay. You have to make sure you bring a thumb drive. And it's blurring out. But you guys know what a thumb drive is, some kind of storage device. You need to bring that to every single lab because you're gathering data. And sometimes the computers that are connected to the equipment are rather old. They may not have internet. So there's probably no way you're going to email the stuff to you. So you need to purchase a thumb drive and you need to bring it to lab every week. Okay, very, very important. Okay, so this right here is just to reemphasize the idea. If you have a question, you need to stop and see if you can answer it yourself. Can you find the answer in the syllabus? And if you can't, talk to your GTA or talk to fellow lab members. And if no one there, if you haven't found the answer then message me, okay? I expect you guys to send professional emails. If your messages to me feel more like a text message to one of your buddies, then I'm not going to respond to it. If you don't know what a professional email looks like, you can click on this link right here or type that link in and learn how to write professional emails. The reasons why I do this is because we are in a professional relationship and I want to keep it as such. Also, it is good practice to start sending emails like that because when you go into the workforce, that's what they're going to expect. So it's just good practice. Okay. Another really important thing to, when you want to send me an email, I want an email. And you can find my email directly in the syllabus. I do not, and I repeat, I do not want you to message me through web courses or through Canvas. The messaging system is crappy. I don't like it. It makes it very difficult to communicate and keep track of our communications. It doesn't keep it in a thread. So when you guys ask a question and then a few weeks goes by and I need to go back to emails to see what I said and what you said, it's nearly impossible to do that if you message me through Canvas. So if you do message me through Canvas, I'm going to ignore it. I need you to send me an email, a direct email. Okay. Okay, we already talked about post-lab and pre-lab due dates. Let's see here. Is there anything else that, I'm looking at my notes here to see if there's anything else that I need to talk about. Okay, so I don't think that I missed anything that I wanted to talk about. But if there's something that's on your mind that I did not discuss, then go through the syllabus or talk to your GTAs while you're here in this orientation, okay? But just want to end with, I'm really excited to be a part of this journey with you in doing the biochem lab. I think it's going to be a lot of fun learning new techniques. You're going to be using hands-on experiments with the principles that you learned from the course. So for example, chromatography. You were taught the principles of chromatography in organic and in the biochem lecture. So if you're doing those experiments and you're a little rusty on that, then you need to go get your old textbook and study up on it. Or SDS Page, running a gel. All those theories of how those experiments work has been discussed in lecture. So it'd be a good idea to have your textbook handy so you can refresh on that. So I hope you guys find it exciting as well, and I'm excited to work with everyone, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.